Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful. Today, Sheila attempts to save a terrified Steffy from Luna, who is brandishing a gun. Sheila's warning was too late, and when Finn saw Grace agitated, Luna grabbed a revolver on Steffy. Taylor claims that Sheila and Luna have a bond at the Cliff home because they are too similar. She tells her to go since she doesn't trust her. For Steffy's sake, Sheila begs her to trust her once. She begs her to let her know where Steffy is since she is so worried. Taylor reluctantly reveals that her daughter has gone to talk to Hayes' teacher at the beach house. She brought in a guest artist, but they had problems with him. According to the shrink, Hayes brought some odd artwork home. After telling her to go, she heads to Hayes' room. Sheila remembers the origami she discovered at Luna's when she sees the crane. She then remembers Remy showing her the paper fortune teller she prepared for him. No, Luna. With a gasp, Sheila bolts away. Grace shares the experience with baby Beth and her part in it with Finn at his office. She is committed to seeing that Finn receives the care he requires. Lee enters to inquire if everything is under control after hearing Grace yelling from the hallway. They discuss how Finn has a lot on his plate and how some patients don't want to follow their counsel. He must persuade his patient to seek treatment, Grace reminds him. Lee inquires as to what that was about when Grace leaves. He responds that there is nothing he can do, even though she offers to consult on his situation. They discuss whether the mess will ever be resolved with Luna. Lee advises him to stay away. He laments that despite Sheila's regular calls, he hasn't been paying attention to her messages. Lee bemoans Sheila's predictability and exhorts Finn to avoid showing himself to Luna. Sheila calls Finn again, but he doesn't answer. He sees that Steffy has called to let him know that she is going to the beach house. They discuss Miss Sunshine. With a name like that, Lee argues, she had best be kind. Steffy prevents Luna from saying Hayes' name at the beach home. Luna mocks it and reiterates that Steffy has kept her away from her father while brandishing her gun. She begs Steffy to see herself getting a chance at a father's love at last. In the closet, they hear a thud. That's simply Miss Dillon, Luna clarifies. Steffy must allow her to see Finn if she wishes to help herself. Steffy sent the menacing origami fortune teller after assuming Luna was Miss Sunshine. With her eyes crossed out, Luna asks about the women, laughing. She should get over herself, Luna advises, and realize how lovely it would be if Finn could finally meet his mother and daughter. While Luna complains about how her mother never told her that her dad was her amazing cousin, Steffy looks at her gun. Steffy would have allowed him to love her without conditions. She is certain that he will pardon her, but she cannot allow Steffy to get away with it since she is dominating him. Luna laments that her pill-popping whore of a mother has neglected her. The best part of her life was when Finn hugged her. Steffy is denying her the opportunity to experience more of that. Not everyone is as fortunate as Princess Steffy. Steffy says she wishes things could be different and acknowledges that she should treat her with more respect. Sheila tells Luna she doesn't want to do this as she storms through the door. Luna is adamant that she is helping them. Steffy is no longer able to call the shots. She assures her grandmother that if they ensure Steffy never gets in their way again, they will be able to achieve all of their dreams. Sheila's rescue, Lee's unexpected viewpoint, and shooting victim. Lee Finnegan and John Finn Finnegan, meantime, have an unexpected viewpoint in common. The rescue of Sheila Carter Sharp. Let's begin with Sheila Carter Sharp, who is committed to saving Steffy Forrester Finnegan and stopping Luna. Sheila rushed to the Cliff home as soon as she realized Luna was about to shoot Steffy. Taylor Hayes had the option of encouraging Sheila to call the police or offering to get in touch with Steffy. Rather, she believed Sheila was lying when she said Steffy was in danger. Taylor may come to regret not acting sooner rather than later. See what transpired in the most recent B&B episode by reading this. Shooting the victim. Luna was pointing a revolver at Steffy when Sheila arrived at the painting class. The repentant villain will exert every effort to persuade Luna to put down the gun. Now, though, there may be no way to stop Luna. She will be placed in handcuffs the moment she puts down that pistol. Luna may decide to fight to the death since she believes she has nothing left to lose. Who was going to be the victim of a shooting? While battling for the pistol with Grandma, could Luna be shot? Is it possible that Luna shot Sheila by accident? Will someone else rush through the door and become a victim, or may Steffy be shot? Lee Finnegan's opinion. According to Monday, July 7th spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Finn will still be in the hospital, speaking with his mother. Lee cut off a conversation between Grace Buckingham and Finn. Lee and Finn then talked about Luna. Lee will offer an unexpected viewpoint as they discuss the matter. Perhaps Lee will acknowledge that no child raised in Luna's environment could grow up to be a respectable person. Maybe Lee is aware that Luna's life would have been better under Finn's influence. In any event, the situation is complex. July 7, 2025 Monday. Additionally, there is the Liam Spencer problem. The individual has yet to inform anyone of his impending death. Stay tuned because, at the very least, Bill, Wyatt, and Will Spencer deserve to say farewell while they can. The air in Steffy Forrester's Cliff House, usually a haven scented with sea salt and expensive candles, hung thick with the acrid tang of accusation and the chilling static of impending violence. Taylor Hayes, her psychiatrist's composure fraying at the edges, stood rigidly before Sheila Carter, her eyes chips of glacial ice. Sheila's frantic warning about Luna, delivered too late to prevent the girl from pulling a gun on Steffy at the design office, echoed uselessly in the tense space, replaced now by Taylor's own damning indictment. "You have a bond with her, don't you?" Taylor's voice was low, venomous, each word a shard of glass. "Because you see yourself in her. The desperation. The manipulation. The capacity for violence when cornered. You recognize the poison because you are the poison, Sheila. You're cut from the same diseased cloth." Sheila flinched, the accusation striking deep, but her own terror for Steffy overrode the sting. "Taylor, please. You can't trust me?" "Fine. I get it. But trust me this once. For Steffy's sake." "Where is she?" The raw panic in Sheila's voice, so unlike her usual calculated menace, momentarily pierced Taylor's fury. Reluctantly, tersely, Taylor revealed Steffy had gone to the beach house to confront Hayes's art teacher, Miss Sunshine, over concerning artwork the boy had brought home, strange, unsettling pieces that had disturbed the sensitive child. "Now get out," Taylor commanded, her tone brooking no argument as she turned towards Hayes's room, desperate to shield her grandson from the encroaching darkness Sheila represented. "And stay away from my family." As Taylor disappeared, Sheila's frantic gaze swept the living room, searching for any clue, any thread to pull. Her eyes snagged on a delicate origami crane perched on a bookshelf. A cold jolt of recognition seized her. Origami. Just like the intricate pieces she'd found discarded in Luna's apartment during one of her clandestine, obsessive visits. Then, tucked half under a cushion, she saw it, a folded paper fortune teller, the kind children make. Sheila's breath hitched. Memory slammed into her, Remy, her deceased son, holding up a similar childish creation Luna had made for him years ago, his face alight with innocent pride. Luna had always found solace in folding paper, a quiet refuge from Poppy's chaotic world. "Luna, no." The gasp tore from Sheila's throat, a horrified realization crystallizing. The threatening origami messages sent to Steffy, the ones with crossed-out eyes. Luna. Miss Sunshine was Luna. Without a second thought, Sheila whirled and bolted from the Cliff House, her heart hammering against her ribs, a single destination burning in her mind, the beach house. Meanwhile, the sterile calm of Finn's office was fracturing under the weight of Grace Buckingham's determined confession. Grace, her usual professional veneer cracked by stress and guilt, paced before Finn's desk, her voice tight. "I have to tell you, Finn. After everything, after Beth, my part in that nightmare." She stopped, meeting his concerned gaze. "I can't stand by. Your patient, the one refusing treatment, the one whose condition is deteriorating, you must convince them. It's not just medical advice, it's an ethical imperative. They need intervention, now." Her urgency vibrated in the small space, loud enough to draw Lee Finnegan from the hallway. Lee entered, her sharp eyes taking in the scene, the tension palpable. Everything under control here? She asked, her voice deceptively calm. Grace, collecting herself slightly, reiterated the critical nature of Finn convincing his resistant patient, framing it as a matter of life-altering consequence. After Grace exited, leaving a heavy silence, Lee turned to her son. What was that about? Do you need a consult? Finn, looking weary beyond measure, rubbed his temples. No, Mom. It's complicated. There's nothing more I can do right now. Their conversation inevitably turned to the ever-present shadow looming over them, Luna. Lee's expression hardened. This mess with that girl, when will it end, Finn? You need to keep your distance. Far away. Finn sighed, pulling out his phone, the screen illuminating with multiple missed calls. Sheila's been calling nonstop. Haven't listened to a single message. Lee scoffed. Predictable. Desperate. Don't give her an opening, Finn. Don't make yourself vulnerable to Luna or Sheila. As if on cue, Sheila's name flashed on Finn's screen again. He declined the call, his thumb hovering as another notification popped up, a text from Steffy, headed to Beach House to deal with Miss Sunshine. Lee raised an eyebrow. Miss Sunshine? With a name like that, she better be positively radiant. Finn offered a weak, humorless smile, a seed of unease sprouting in his gut as he thought of Steffy confronting an unknown teacher alone. Radiance was the furthest thing from the atmosphere choking the beach house. Steffy stood frozen, her back pressed against the cool glass of the sliding door overlooking the churning Pacific. Luna, transformed from the shy and turned into a figure of trembling, wide-eyed fury, held a gun trained unsteadily on Steffy's chest. The weapon seemed too large, too real in her slender hand, a grotesque symbol of her shattered psyche. Don't you dare say his name. Steffy commanded, her voice low and dangerous, every maternal instinct screaming to protect Hayes even in his absence. Luna's laugh was a brittle, chilling sound. Hayes? Hayes, she mocked, waving the gun erratically. You think you can forbid me? You kept me from my father. My whole life. The raw pain in her voice warred with the manic energy. Imagine it, Steffy. Imagine finally having a chance at a father's love. That hug. Her eyes glazed over momentarily with a terrifying mix of longing and remembered ecstasy. It was everything. A sudden, muffled thud from a nearby closet broke the tense standoff. Luna's gaze flicked towards it, a smirk twisting her lips. Oh, that's just Miss Dillon. Hayes's real teacher. Don't worry about her. Worry about you. If you want to help yourself. Luna's voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper, though the gun didn't waver. Let me see Finn. Let me talk to my dad. The pieces snapped together in Steffy's mind with horrifying clarity. The origami threats, the crossed-out eyes. You, Steffy breathed, her eyes narrowing. You're Miss Sunshine. You sent those things. Luna's smirk widened into a grotesque grin. The fortune teller? Clever, right? And the ladies with their eyes, crossed out? Poetic. She let out another brittle laugh. Get over yourself, Princess Steffy. Can't you see how beautiful it would be? Finn, finally knowing his mother, knowing his daughter, a real family. Luna's rant escalated, her voice rising hysterically. Steffy's gaze remained locked on the gun, calculating distance, vulnerability, the terrifying instability in Luna's eyes. My mom, Luna spat, tears now mingling with her fury, that pill-popping whore, she never told me. Never told me my father was my amazing, wonderful cousin. He would have loved me. Unconditionally. But you. The gun jerked emphatically towards Steffy. You control him. You poison him against us. He would forgive me. I know he would, if it weren't for you. Luna's voice cracked. He hugged me, it was the greatest moment of my life, and you're robbing me. Robbing me of more. Robbing me of my father. Not everyone gets your perfect world, Princess Steffy. Not everyone gets your perfect life. Steffy, forcing a semblance of calm she didn't feel, saw the abyss of Luna's pain and psychosis. "Luna. I know I could have shown you more grace," she said carefully, her voice steady despite the adrenaline roaring in her ears. I truly wish things could be different." It was a gambit, an attempt to find a sliver of the lost, gentle girl beneath the rage. "Different?" Luna shrieked, the gun trembling violently. "It can be. It will be. For us. For our family. Once you're—" The door crashed open, slamming against the wall. Sheila Carter stood framed in the doorway, chest heaving, her eyes wild with a terror that mirrored Steffy's but held a desperate, protective ferocity. "Luna. No. Stop. You don't want to do this." Sheila's voice was raw, pleading, cutting through Luna's tirade. Luna whirled, momentarily startled, the gun swinging erratically between Steffy and Sheila. "Grandma. Stay out of this. I'm doing this for us. For our family." Her conviction was terrifying, absolute. "Steffy doesn't get to call the shots anymore. She doesn't get to keep us apart." Luna's eyes blazed with a fanatical light, the gun steadying as she focused her manic energy back onto Steffy, ignoring Sheila's intrusion. "We can have it all, Grandma. Everything we've ever dreamed of. Everything we deserve. But only, if we make sure Steffy never stands in our way again." The silence that followed Sheila's arrival was more suffocating than before. 3 generations of damaged women stood locked in a deadly triangle. Steffy, the terrified target, her back to the vast, indifferent ocean. Luna, the unhinged architect of vengeance, her finger perilously close to the trigger, her vision of a twisted family future demanding Steffy's erasure. And Sheila, the notorious monster, her own hands stained with violence, now radiating a desperate, primal need to prevent the irreversible, to stop her granddaughter from plunging into the same abyss she had inhabited for decades, even if it meant throwing herself into the line of fire. The beach house, intended for sunshine and relaxation, had become a pressure cooker of psychosis, maternal fury, and the terrifying possibility of salvation offered by the least likely savior. The gun gleamed in Luna's hand, a promise of annihilation. Sheila's plea hung in the air, a fragile lifeline cast across an ocean of shared trauma and violence. The only sound was the relentless crash of waves against the shore below, a grim counterpoint to the ragged breathing and the deafening, unspoken question: could the architect of so much pain become the barrier against the final, catastrophic act? The late afternoon sun slanted through the towering windows of Steffy Forrester Finnegan's Cliff House studio, casting long, dramatic shadows across the canvases and sculpting clay. The air, usually thick with the scent of oils and creative energy, hung heavy with a different kind of tension, the electric, suffocating charge of imminent violence. Luna Nozawa, once the wide-eyed intern radiating gentle warmth, stood transformed. Her designer clothes were askew, her eyes wild, dilated pools reflecting a mind fractured by grief, manipulation, and a terrifying, all-consuming rage. The gun in her trembling hand wasn't just a weapon, it was the grotesque manifestation of Bill Spencer's poisonous whispers and her own unraveling sanity, pointed directly at Steffy's heart. Steffy, frozen mid-sentence while trying to reason with the young woman she'd once welcomed into her home and business, radiated a primal mixture of fury, disbelief, and icy fear. Her children, Kelly and Hayes, were thankfully upstairs with a nanny, but their imagined proximity fueled Steffy's terror. Finn wasn't home, he was miles away, caught in another web of revelation. The carefully curated sanctuary of the Cliff House had become a powder keg, and Luna held the lit match. "You took everything!" Luna shrieked, her voice raw and ragged, the gun barrel jerking erratically. "My mother is in a cage because of you. Her life is over. And you just sit here in your perfect house, with your perfect family, playing artist." Steffy, her own voice low and controlled despite the adrenaline screaming through her veins, tried to pierce the hysteria. "Luna, listen to me. Poppy's choices put her there. Not me. Putting that gun down is the only way you help her now. Please, think of RJ." Meanwhile, miles away in the sterile, hushed environment of the hospital, a different kind of reckoning was unfolding. John Finnegan stood reeling, not from physical threat, but from the emotional grenade his mother, Lee Finnegan, had just detonated. They'd been discussing Luna's rapid, terrifying descent, Finn grappling with guilt. Had he missed signs? Could he, as someone Luna trusted, have intervened before Bill's toxic influence took hold? Lee, having just interrupted a tense conversation between Finn and Grace Buckingham about Luna's instability, regarded her son with an uncharacteristic expression, not just her usual fierce protectiveness or disdain for Sheila, but a profound, weary sadness touched with something startlingly close to empathy. Finn, Lee began, her voice softer than usual, cutting through his self-recrimination. You're carrying a burden that isn't yours. Luna's path, it was written long before you entered the picture. Finn frowned, expecting condemnation of Luna's bloodline, another tirade about Spencer poison. But Lee surprised him. Look at the forces that shaped her, John. A mother whose entire existence revolved around deception and fleeting pleasures, drifting from scheme to scheme, lover to lover. No stability. No moral compass beyond the next thrill. And a grandfather. Lee paused, her lips tightening, who sees human beings as pawns, emotions as weaknesses to exploit. Bill Spencer didn't create Luna's fragility, he merely identified it, like a predator sensing wounded prey, and poured his particular brand of venom into the cracks already there. She met Finn's astonished gaze. Your kindness, your decency, it was a lifeline Luna desperately needed. Perhaps, for a time, it offered a glimpse of a different way. But Finn, you cannot save someone drowning in an ocean of generational dysfunction and deliberate manipulation when their own foundation was built on sand. No child raised in that vortex of instability and moral ambiguity could emerge unscathed. It's a miracle she held on to her gentleness as long as she did. Bill didn't corrupt Luna, he merely awakened the chaos already sleeping within her, nurtured by neglect and poor example. It was a devastating perspective, stripping away blame from Finn while painting Luna's tragedy as almost inevitable, a product of her poisoned inheritance. It offered cold comfort, but it resonated with a terrible truth Finn couldn't deny. Back at the Cliff House, the standoff reached its fever pitch. Luna, fueled by Lee's inadvertently accurate diagnosis of her fractured foundation and Steffy's perceived invulnerability, saw no way out but through violence. Putting it down means prison. Luna screamed, her finger tightening on the trigger. Just like Mom. There's nothing left. Nothing but making you feel a fraction of my pain. Steffy braced herself, her mind racing, every maternal instinct screaming to protect her children upstairs, every fiber of her being refusing to show fear to this broken girl holding her life in her hands.